You're listening to ArTEEtude, a podcast with artists created and produced by Detlef Schlich, a visual artist and ritual designer, living and loving in West Cork, and best known for his essay about the cause and effect of shamanism, art and digital culture. Working in the field of performance, photography, painting, sound, installations, and film, he will dive and discover with us and a weekly creative guest into the unknown and exciting deep ocean of the creative mind.
This is Detlef Schlich, and today we dive into the unexpected, exciting, deep ocean of the creative mind together with Michael Elliott. Hi, Mike.
Hey, it's good to be here again.
Yeah, it's great. It's already the third part, and we had, I must say, really two great parts. I've learned so much about himself and his projects. Mike is author, and he wrote a book about the biography of John Hiatt, an American singer-songwriter, an influential musician in roots rocks, Americana, alternative rock, and very interesting. We started in the first episode to speak about Michael's upcoming and growing up in Carolina, where he's from. He's known really, and continued then already in the second part. The story about Michael's life and how he came to John Hiatt, and to how he came to write to develop a biography of him, about him, and now in the third part we might continue with that, which is great. I asked Mike already in the second part what was his intuition. His driven thing to write a biography about John, and Mike he mentioned that he I don't like to admit, that sounds so he mentioned that he used to stop drinking as well, and there he saw already a couple of parallel lines to John. That was one source of inspiration, and the other one was what was the other one?
Well, the thing with Hiatt is he grew up he was overweight, and he had to overcome that. I had handicap. I'm blind in my left eye, and I had a cataract in my right eye, and I couldn't see without large print books in school. I went to regular school. I went to public school, but I had to sit near the front of the class, and I had to get rid of all the light around me. I had to put my hands up over my eyes in order to see.
Honestly.
Yeah, and so I got picked on a little bit, but it was frustrating. So I understood that outcast type of thing. I had a lot of
I was wondering,
but also, you had some folks. You always have people that are going to pick on you, no matter what.
Yeah, no, but I mean, okay, we have but that's the thing. So I think, I don't know. I mean, I was getting bullied as well in Cologne, and I really didn't like it, because that somehow, I mean, sometimes I went on the schoolyard and bang, I had a fist in my face without any reason,
Yeah.
which gave myself. I mean, and I was not a bouncer,
Mm-hmm.
So I was not, because my mother told me before I keep my fist together, I should come to her and speak with her, so that she was Protestant, and so she made me feel somehow uncomfortable with that. So I never ever really was able to develop aggressivity,
Yeah.
Become aggressive, and you need that somehow if you want to start a fight, so So that never happened. So and I think that on a place where you're growing up was so that the bullying can be as well very, very, very devastating.
Oh, it could be rough. There was, you always got people that are going to be. We had rednecks in school, and we had folks that were less than friendly. That will just they make they are happiest when they're making other people feel bad. And I don't know if there's something in them something empty in them that makes them feel better doing that, which I'm sure it is. Growing up, looking back, that's what was going on. But you don't think about that when you're a kid, it's how it's affecting you is all you can think about. And that's all I thought about. So I would just, disappear into music. And that's when I got into, I just listened to the radio all the time, and I would squint looking at the records, that I had, and looking at the liner notes and finding out who played what, because that's what I devoted my time to.
Yeah, I love that as well. So I was actually able with 16, I was working as a white worker for the county council, and earned quite good money in that age, and I still was living at home, so I was able to buy a vinyl every month, at least 10 maxis, 10 LPs, long players,
Yeah.
So and I just bought them from the cover, so when I said, this cover is or from the producer and so that was really I loved that. I loved it absolutely to understand culture via music, and via.
Yeah, and that's one thing that kind of draws us all together, and it's very validating when you can find out that some of your favorite artists, that some of the artists that you have gotten into love the same things you loved, and you can draw that connection. And when I found out, I learned more about John Hiatt. I found out he liked a lot of the same stuff I did growing up, and so I'm like, well, there's a connect. Not only everybody loves the Beatles and the Stones, but he would like more quote unquote obscure people that I loved, like O.V. Wright and people like that. They were soul singers, and he loved gospel music that he'd hear from. He grew up Catholic, but he would tune into this radio station called WLAC in Nashville that would play a lot of soul music and gospel music, and it would really, really excite him. Well, that was where I came from in the South, and so I grew up around, and I loved it. So I can only imagine hearing it for the first time from beaming in from elsewhere. He said it was kind of like from outer space. Well, I can understand that, but that's what I immersed myself in growing up. That was just all around me, and I didn't take it for granted. A lot of people take their culture, where they grow up, they take it for granted, and I can honestly say that I never did. I always appreciated it, and I'm lucky in that, I guess. But it's what informs what I do to this day. I got into playing music when I was a teenager. I started bands. I was in cover bands.
Yeah.
Did you? I sang and
what singing and playing as well?
I sang mostly. I played harmonica a little, and I played guitar a little bit, just enough to I bashed out 3 chords, 3 or 4. But mainly is singing. I love singing. I was a big Otis Redding fan, and Rod Stewart, that type of thing. And so
you have to come over here to Ireland sometimes, visiting your relatives, because Michael is half Scottish, half Irish, and then we're gonna do a session and invite the people here.
I tell you what, who I love over there is Frankie Miller. He is a huge influence of mine. I think he's from Glasgow, I believe, but he's fantastic.
I don't know. Yeah, I know him, but I don't know it.
And he and Delbert McClinton over here in the States, from Texas. Those are two of my favorite singers.
Are they?
Yeah, and so, but John Hiatt, it falls in that kind of category. He's got that rough, bluesy type delivery, and so all those guys, Lowell George from Little Feat, that type of phrasing is what I love, and Bonnie Raitt, I love her.
I must say, the song "Have a Little Faith in Me" is that's the same title like Mike's book cover, more than less. It is a song I was playing this song to every one of my friends, and I was recording that for everyone on my, and I was DJ as well, and I was playing even as the last song in my underground club where I used to do the Pink Monday nights, and this song, so have a little face, so the building up, and how John built that up, it is so touching, and so such a true story, so
that book,
really,
the book is the reason it's called Have a Little Faith. It may be a bit on the nose, it may be a bit obvious, but at the same time, I think it's central to the story. You got to have a little. People had faith in him when it was most needed, and most importantly, he had faith in himself when it was most needed. He felt like there was a point where he had almost given up, but it took just a couple of guys, Andrew Lauder and Dan Burgoyes. From different sides of the pond. Andrew Lauder, who helped start Demon Records in the UK, and then there was Dan Burgoyes, who had Bug Music in Nashville, in LA. Yeah. They had faith in him. They said, "We want you to do an album." When he had cleaned up, and they helped. The two of them, along with Ken Levitin, his longtime manager, he wasn't his manager then, but he cut a deal for him to be on A&M in America, and Demon in the UK was put together by Andrew Lauder. But they helped finance Bring the Family, and that's what got him running. So, it just takes having a little faith in yourself and in other people in order to I think.
Yeah, you know what? I think really that in times in this glitch where we are now somehow, already since 2 years, or maybe I could imagine. I didn't read your book now, but I will. Books like this can help as well people to overcome obstacles or depressions or whatever, so because
that's my aim for
because I have in my circle of friends and activists and as well a lot of people who suffer now from depressions and I just ordered 2 books from a German psychologist who survived the Second World War in Auschwitz as a Jew. And he's dead now, but he became 100 years, and these books, they're really about overcoming his obstacles, and even if he was in Auschwitz and in the concentration camps, So I'm really looking forward to look into that what he's writing, because I just, like I say, I have friends, and I would like really to find as well ways, so to say, hey, maybe if you read this book, because often is it you read a book and this can help you somehow through a very difficult moment, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I would love for this book to touch people in a similar way of what they're going through. And I wanted to be a few things, because when I was doing the book, I thought, well, what do I like to read in the biography? I remember our one of the great writers from America, Toni Morrison. She said that when you Nobel Prize for Literature, she said when you can't find the book you want to write, you want to read, then write it. Basically, I'm
yeah.
So that's what I did. That's what I was like. Well, I can't believe that there hasn't been a book about John Hiatt. So I said, I better write one, because nobody else is apparently going to do it. But when I sat down to write it, I thought, okay, what do I love about biographies, and what do I don't like about them? So I just decided to write the kind of book I wanted to read, and so that's why it's a little bit of his background, his life growing up, and but I also wanted to put in enough, because sometimes when I'm being a music fan, some biographies I don't think they delve enough into the music, and so I wanted to do that as well. I wanted to give a little bit of thoughts on each album that he did.
Okay, so how many pages has your book?
How many what?
Pages.
Just under 300, I believe, in the book. So it's
okay, but that's
a relatively short book.
But you can put a lot in it. Yes.
Yeah, it's and the print is compact, so it's a lot of information in there. So I breezed through it. I thought it was, it's funny because I was given a certain amount of words I had to do, and I ended up writing almost twice as much as that. So I had to trim back. But I have a lot of words on the quote unquote cutting room floor. So, maybe I can put some out in an expanded edition later or something,
The director's cut.
That's right. Yeah, the writer's cut. Yeah,
the writer's cut. Maybe. Yeah, and I know that. I wrote my thesis about shamanism, art, and digital culture, and I found so many things in research, and I was restricted on 10,000 words. So And I mean, even the writing for the German television, if you write an expose. From say 10 pages, where and I ended up already on 20, so it's really that's the art, to bringing this information in 1 or 2 sentences, so narrowing it down, but it is possible. It is possible, and that's unbelievable how we human developed, how our brain or how I say already since the beginning of consciousness, or actually since the beginning of as we start to learn to communicate in letters, we started as well to become the first post-human, because we started to become a code, our brain started to code already 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, or probably from the beginning of consciousness, as we saw the first shadow at the air, the first bird or whatever, and said, okay, so this is a bird, and then we turned it into art, or later on into letters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's for me still unbelievable, because I use it often as well in my art, to express that, so this thing how a brain can develop, and even a book, so even if you read then a book, it's like comes as well from ancient shamanism. A book can heal as well, and if you read it, if you take Rilke, for instance, a German poet. If he writes and you read that, you feel already how he transforms your aura, so your habitat, and it's unbelievable. That's great. That's great.
I do believe, our art, visual, audio, it can change the way you look at things. It can open your mind. It completely expand your outlook on things for the better. And sometimes for worse. It depends on what you're into.
Sure.
But
yeah,
great art will always motivate and will captivate, I believe.
Absolutely. That is actually, it is. If one understands that. We are coming from the hunter and gatherer, and at this time, so the first quasi religion was somehow shamanism. So that's the way how if you're gonna look at now from the scientific side, can explain it like this, And even then, so people dealt already with drums and beats, and take techno. How many people getting into trance just through the rhythm and So there's no wonder how that we still get affected to that. I mean, question is how long we're gonna able to feel that, and as soon as we're getting more and more enhanced. I mean, now it's just the mobile phone. We're still influenced from outer space, but I mean, they work already on brain interfaces and an end. I mean, and if that is once established and accepted, we become hybrids.
Yep. I'll take your word for that.
Do you agree?
I think it's definitely something to look into. I mean, it's possible. I haven't studied hybrid. My wife drives a hybrid. I know that.
I mean,
a hybrid Prius.
Yeah.
But
yeah. So they call it post-humanism already.
Yeah. You started talking about post-humanism. Okay. I'm looking. I'm excited. It's entrancing.
You see, look, I mean, my research in transhumanism and posthumanism and quantum physics and I mean, it was a very dark chapter, and I got my anxiety somehow as I was thinking about that, but fortunately I have my art, to express it in that as well, so that eventually that changed as well into positivity, and I realize now, so we humans, okay, so I mean, what are we? I believe it's just a little part of the evolution, so there are some humans, they like Trump or so, they would like that we are maybe some superior or something special, but
I've always believed that, it's quite arrogant to think we're the only, or we're the most civilized species in the world, or in the universe. There are we can't be the only ones around. And if we're the most highly intelligent, then oh no,
no, not really. That's something wrong. So because there's a huge misunderstanding.
I hope to think that there's something better out there that we can aspire to.
Yeah, but you see, I think the art of living is that even if you know about that you're not getting depressed or bitter, so or cynical, so it takes a time to understand that this is just the part how evolution works, without getting anxious about it or
life can either make you, it can make you cynical, depends on how you look at it, but I do. And it goes back to Hiatt, is I believe that when he cleaned up and when he got better and when he became sober, his cynicism fell away. He started going, looking more inward, and then that it brightened his entire outlook, and his music reflects that. And it doesn't mean that it's saccharine or sentimental or anything like that. It's deeper. It's more, it can be dark, be very dark. He's written some dark material in the last 30 some years, but at the same time, there's always an underlying hope and realization that this is real life in there as well. So it's not
absolutely.
It's not just being snarky, which is he had that issue probably early on in his career where he'd fallen into that, and all of us when we're younger we look upon the world with a cynical eye, but then life humbles us, and everybody I think is due a humbling, and it can make people a lot stronger.
I think too. I think I have former friends, they became cynical and to the same time bitter and often as well alcoholics nowadays.
Yeah.
And I think it is. This is. I don't want to end like this. Wow.
what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
No, I remember reading some Bukowski, Charles Bukowski, and it's really
that's the man.
Bless his heart. He was just, he had this horrible outlook on the, but it's what he took in, and it's how how the world reflected to him, but I don't want to look on the world like that.
No, I mean, take David Foster Wallace.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely.
Great writer, and he was too sensitive to survive.
Mm-hmm. And but I tell you, you need and you also need somebody strong in your life. John Hiatt got Nancy Hiatt, his wife, who has been with him for 35 years now. They've been married, and she's his savior, I believe, and I hope I put that across in the book. And I wanted to reflect that in my own marriage. My wife Liz, she is my savior, and it's because of her that I wrote this book. She said, you're going to write a book. She told me a couple of years ago, she said, you're going to end this year with writing a book. And I said, you're crazy. But sure enough, by the end of that year, I'd started writing a book. And by the end of the following year, I had finished. So, it was during COVID when much of the world was in lockdown, in quarantine.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. It gave me, I hate to say that I benefited from that because I didn't, it's not really a benefit. It's just the fact that I had more time to devote to writing that and researching the book and reaching out to people. I talked to John and his wife and his daughter, Lily. I talked to, Bonnie Raitt, Ry Cooter, Nick Lowe. I talked to a whole lot of these people, all granted me their time. They were just so wonderful to talk to. And they all felt the same way, that it's about time that somebody wrote a book about Hiatt,
Absolutely.
So I'm eternally grateful for everybody's participation in this. And I'm grateful for you for having me on this podcast to tell everyone about it. And also to Monty Warren for hipping me to this podcast.
That's cool. I mean, look, I feel like I mentioned it already, like with my digital shamanism, So I'm flying through America, flying through NC, Northern Carolina, Florida, Tennessee. I just had Julia now. Julia's still in my show from Kalamazoo, Michigan. It's lovely, So for me, it's like a virtual holiday,
Oh, absolutely.
Even if it's exhausting though, and it's really I feel like all these people which I meet in these 2 hours, so they're becoming some more friends as well, So and I can sing them as well. So have a little faith in me.
That's right.
Have a little faith in me. Yeah. I'm bringing the network together, guys.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I do. This podcast is unlike any other I've ever heard. And Monty told me, he said, I'm going to be on this podcast. You need to check it out. And I was like, wow, this is great. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's much the same like you, So as creative people, you have to find ways to get out of this glitch. And I used to write before that a digital funk, rock, crossover short attention span opera called Tribal Loop, where I'm gonna play the alter ego of Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump, and it's about tribalism. That's actually the reason why I bought this book here, as a research,
Yeah.
And it's the opera is finished, it's written. I mean, the first act it's actually finished as well. I still have to edit it a little bit and sound right. It's digital opera. That means I'm gonna bring it on film festivals. And I couldn't work further on that due to the glitch, so I started with the podcast.
Okay, well, it sounds fantastic. I'm gonna have to. I'm looking forward to hearing that. Or seeing.
And yeah, I mean, it's very. I worked. So I hope I can bring that on next year. And find festivals, appropriate festivals. I mean, I was already in Colorado with my ritual mantra rep.
Mm-hmm.
And on an activist festival in Colorado and on a cannabis festival. In the category best music video watching stoned.
That's a category.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't win. Maybe people were too stoned as they watched it. I don't know.
I think that should be a Grammy category next. The best song watching while stoned. You know?
Yeah. But that was great. So I started as well getting into the film festival things with my videos. But like I said, the last 2 years I didn't work on that, and I really worked on the development of the podcast. I mean, everything from the music up to I'm gonna produce everything on the computer, and it's a new way, and like you writing the biography, which is great. I mean, it's for you. It was probably, how many hours did you speak with John?
Several hours. I ended up having 3 very lengthy conversations with him over a several month time span, and then I spoke with his wife for quite a long time as well, and his daughter Lily. I spoke with her once, but it was very fruitful. So I got all of their perspectives, and it was just a delight to be able to speak with them. And then just everybody in the industry that I spoke with has been wonderful, and just such a wide array of people in ages as well that has been through his life. I wanted to be like a kind of a snapshot of his life through every stage of it. I tried to get somebody from every stage of his life in the book. A childhood friend named Bob Waltz is in there, and then his people that knew him as a teenager, his bandmates, and then when he was in a little cover bands, and then I try to get his early bandmates and producers. So hopefully an A&R people, artist repertoire, publicity people. So and not to mention, I was very lucky to get everybody in his group. Not only the Bring the Family Band was also reconvened in '91. They called themselves Little Village then.
Yeah, so I have that album as well.
Yeah, and so they talked about Bring the Family and Little Village, which was a fascinating journey into what happens when the same 4 guys to get together about 4 or 5 years.
Who was at Little Village again? It was
the same band as Bring the Family. It was Ry Cooder, Nick Lowe, Jim Keltner, and John Hiatt.
Yeah, right. And
so,
Jim Keltner was a drummer from which band? What was it?
He's been with Rye for many years, but he was also in the Traveling Wilburys. He drummed for. He's basically a session drummer. He's drummed for everybody from Bob Dylan to, John Lennon, and he's drummed with Ringo Starr and Charlie Watts. They did an album together, Jim and Charlie.
All right.
He's just been on almost every song in classic rock,
yeah.
But the same 4 guys made Bring the Family has made Little Village, but it's 2 completely different sounding albums. Because one was a John Hiatt album with them as his backup band. The other one was a more democratic band collaboration. And it shows the difference between, just change the songwriting up a little bit and get more input, and you can have a completely different outcome. There are moments of Little Village that I love. There are moments that I thought could have been, better.
That's what I wanted to mention. So I hope it's not to no offense to nobody. I liked John's solo projects more than the first Little Village album. It was nice, but it didn't really. It was one or two songs were good, but not overproduced. But some I don't know. I mean, it's I like John when he's John and not Little Village. So.
It was a quirky little album, and I hope I get across in the chapter the reasoning behind all that. But it's just a whole lot of different factors. One of the main ones being, you know how we talked earlier about having limits to your art. It helps you. I think the issue with Little Village was they were given. Basically, there was a time in the music business in the early '90s where everybody had more money than they knew what to do with, and so they had a limitless bankroll, basically, and they just threw all the money in the world. They had all the time in the world and all the money in the world, and I think it's a lot. But contrast that with Bring the Family when they had about $20,000 in 4 days, and they put out a masterpiece. But if you don't give anyone any limits, then you come up with, just something that could have been a lot better than it was.
Okay, I get you.
I think that's what it all boils down to.
Yeah, I get you. I understand that. Yeah, no, that makes sense somehow for me.
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay. But it's so they, in the tour after that, they did not tour behind Bring the Family, but they did tour behind Little Village. And, I go in there about talking about how Ry Cooder is just not, he does not tour. He does not like to tour. He's more happy in a studio. And Jim Keltner,
same like me.
Yeah, and Jim Keltner is more of a session drummer, but Nick and John are more the tour road dogs. And so it was just that type of thing where the two of them had a great time, but Ry was more like, man, I want to be back home.
I mean, that's the thing. You see, I mean, being on tour is quite really a torture for some people. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, that was actually a reason why I never became really professional, because I thought, I mean, being on stage is okay, but being that every day, so yes. I mean, my plan was already, okay, if I'm gonna get a number one hit with my song, which was getting produced in as I was 34, I'm gonna go after 10 years into rehab, because.
Absolutely. So, that's what happens a lot of times. They get on the road, and of course by then, if you're drinking and if you're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, and it's going to be more difficult than but then, if you're clean and sober, then it's like a guy said one time, I don't know what's worse, being the only drunk in a room of sobers or the only sober in a room of drunks. So it's one or the other. There's
another sentence. So it's better to be a well-known drinker as an anonymous alcoholic,
That's right.
I must say so because I booked just in 2 hours in total recording, and we're almost at the end. So we had a long chat, and I would say we continue with that probably sometime again next year. Do you want to add anything special?
Well, I just want this to be an opportunity for people to read the book and come away with knowing that there's always, if you have faith in yourself, that if you might feel like this might be the end of your rope or whatever, that if you work hard and if you can overcome addiction, that life is a lot better. You'll get a lot better. You may think that it won't, but it will. And I can tell you from personal experience it does. And hopefully reading this book will give you motivation to know that there is a lot better life without feeling shackled to an addiction.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a good sentence for the end. And Michael, I thank you very much for this very insightful talk about you and about John, and as well. I hope that you listeners got somehow a little bit an idea how you can can start a biography as well, and you get an idea about the creative minds, how creative people work, and maybe even if you never wrote a book, just start, do it.
That's all I did. I just sat down and started writing, and then next thing you know, you got something. But you can't. I started writing. And it's the Artist Way is the name of the book. By
I know that.
Cameron, yes. Yeah, and I got that idea from Pete Townshend's autobiography. He mentions her in that book in his book, and so I went and got it, and I'll admit I did not read the entire thing, but I read enough to where I heard about the 3 pages a day, where you just sit in the morning, you just write your morning pages. So I started doing that, and next thing you know, one thing leads to another. Voila! I'm talking to you, and I have a book. So
great, thank you, Mike. That's cool. So dear listeners, you might. I'm gonna put that book probably as well in my description. So if you want to read in it, you can look in and find for yourself a way how you're gonna be creative. I would say before I close our talk and conversation, I just have to make a little bit the thing. As first of all, Mike is in the Hall of ArTEEtude now. So congratulations, welcome in the Hall of ArTEEtude. The Hall of ArTEEtude is you can buy a max of not just about Michael, from Michael as well, T-shirts from my artwork and you can find that all in ArTEEtude.com. I call it, that's my merchandising hell. You get all my stuff, like this mug here is actually out of my life. These horses, they were close to my caravan where I used to live in 2017 for half a year. So yeah, so that's all part of my life too. So I try to establish actually a new way of art. I still have to find a name of that. Yeah, Michael, thank you very much.
Hey, it was a pleasure, and thank you, and look forward to next time if we can do it. If I can come up with an idea for my next book.
Absolutely, or maybe before that about creative writing or whatever.
Absolutely.
Have a great time.
You too.
Bye, Michael, and bye, dear listeners. I see you next Sunday at 10 o'clock. Early confession. Bye.
You have listened to ArTEEtude, West Cork's first art, fashion, and design podcast. ArTEEtude, never so close again. That was too close.